Hey there, how's it going? Since October of 2025, I've been dropping a baited camera rig into the Baltimore Inner Harbor to see what's swimming around down there. Frankly, I've gotten way better results than I ever expected and thought it would be fun to share. So with that, let's dive on in and let's check out what I happen to see today. Here we are going to be lowering the rig off of the Broadway Pier in Fells Point. Per usual, here are some of the basic water parameters for tonight's dive. Additionally, right below it is the geographic context for where we actually are, where the red circle is, and I'll be using the Chesapeake Bay program's ID guide to make identification. Also, for my eagle-eyed viewers out there, we actually just got our first critter come up to it. We had a bay nettle that I accidentally hit with the rig, so we're off to a good start. So fast forwarding a bit to actually get it down to the bottom. One of the sad things about tonight is that because this was an earlier iteration of the rig that I use, it shifted when it hit the mud and it's going to be sideways. So my apologies, but there's still plenty of stuff that we're going to be able to see tonight. So tonight we're actually going to be starting off very strong with our first fish coming basically right up, and we have a striped bass, which is kind of one of Maryland's staples. This fish is basically hunting on the outskirts of the light, and he just keeps coming up to the camera, and he gets very, very close in numerous instances. So what you're going to see a lot of, frankly, is just sped up clips where this fish just keeps swimming on by, and there will be some other stuff kind of interspliced between it. Since we're in a lot deeper water this time, there's a sense of verticality that you kind of have to understand here. Like this little minnow that just darted up from somewhere way higher in the water column to catch something that it saw swimming around in the light. Again, it's likely some kind of silver side or maybe a bay anchovy. Again, a little hard to make the determination. Just it doesn't come close enough to the camera to make a good ID, but likely something in that range. Also, just to clear it up now, something I'm going to be using pretty interchangeably throughout this video is striped bass and rockfish. Both denote the same organism. Rockfish is more of like the colloquial term for what are striped bass, but I use them pretty interchangeably, so just wanted to clear that up before I forget. So shortly you're going to see another one of these smaller fish come up to the camera, sort of where the red circle is. Again, this one's a little bit different than one of the silver sides or like a bay anchovy. It kind of reminds me of a stickleback, but it's kind of translucent. We'll see a couple fish that end up looking like this, and I frankly have no idea what it is. It could be some type of juvenile fish. I really don't know what it is. But here you're going to really get to see sort of some of the hunting behaviors of the rockfish. Yeah, so the rockfish creating these large sediment plumes is going to be pretty consistent. Anytime you see a large amount of sediment that just kind of pops up on screen for seemingly no reason, even if isn't anything on camera, you can almost guarantee it's either a rockfish or some kind of other large fish, basically hunting or foraging right next to the camera. So up top here in a second, you're gonna get another one of these sort of mystery translucent fish. Again, I have no idea what they are. If you know what they are, do let me know. I've asked around, I've done a ton of research trying to get a good answer, but I have no idea what it is. Personally, I think it's just really neat to see this basically this big fish just using the light of the rig as its own personal hunting ground. I mean, just the way it just basically like comes briefly into frame and then out of frame, but it's actively using it. It seems, like it's very very comfortable with it in a way that I just was not expecting. And the clarity is actually significantly better than I was expecting. I mean, looking down into the water, it's just murky nothingness for the most part. Like, but this is a whole different world. This is something different. This is something interesting. This is a whole different perspective of the Baltimore Harbor that almost no one gets to actually see. We might get to see some of the stuff that lives in there, but this is their world. This is where they live. It's neat. So this right here is probably one of the best examples of those like sort of semi-mysterious translucent fish. It just shoots right down the center, and you see it sort of darting across the stream. Like it's almost completely see-through. It's really eerie in a way. But again, I have no idea what this is, so do let me know if you do. It's kind of funny. After the rockfish mainly kind of departed from the camera, I mean, like a lot more silver sides and sort of these smaller fish came and basically started doing the exact same thing that the rockfish was doing, hunting sort of on the edges of the light and just kind of seeing what was going on. So you may have seen them earlier in the video, but like this is where I feel like you can actually like get a good look at them. This is one of the first instances, and I didn't realize this upon like originally taking this footage, but there were a ton of small shrimp just darting across the surface, and you can see them sort of playing basically right where the PVC pipe. I'll put a red circle up just so you get a little bit better idea, but I didn't realize there were shrimp swimming around during this. So if you saw them, let me know. Also, these were very likely grass shrimp. These are, again, another native species to the Baltimore Harbor. Very, very common. Just something neat that I didn't see at first. Another thing, too, is that because I was still very much testing this process out, like, I had no idea what I was doing. I was just making it up as I went along. I started for a couple of dives. You'll see what I do here, where after maybe like 30, 40 minutes of leaving it at the bottom, I'll bring it up into sort of a higher area of the water just to see what's swimming around. And here again, you can see lots of silver sides, lots of bay anchovy, like a whole bunch of just smaller fish running around sort of on the edge of the camera. I'm throwing up a red circle now because we actually had a shad. Again, going back through a lot of this footage, I will see new things that I didn't actually see at first. So where the red circle was, in a couple seconds there will be a some kind of shad that swims right past the camera. And I wasn't expecting, again, bigger fish. And it's funny, just going back through this footage, I see something new every single time I do it. Okay, so if you've made it this far, this is sort of where we start to wrap up and kind of go over a little bit of what we saw today. So today's dive time was a total of 54 minutes underwater. That across all my long form videos brings me to a total of 288 minutes underneath of the Baltimore Inner Harbor. We saw 8 different species today. We had a lot of time spent with the striped bass, the rockfish. We also saw that bay nettle at the very beginning. There were some bay anchovies and silversides swimming around. You can still kind of see them swimming in the background here. And we also had that common grass shrimp that was kind of making its way over the bait kind of throughout the video. There also were some mystery fish. We had some kind of shad swim by. Again, it was a little too quick. Could have been a menhaden, but something in that family of like herring, quote unquote. And we also had those 2 mystery fish. There was the one very translucent one, and then there was another one that was a little bit more rounder and stout. If you know what they are, do let me know. I'm still learning more as I do this and I go through and make some of these identifications. So I am open to recommendations as to what they could be. So please let me know. But with that, that brings us to a total of 11 different species that we've seen sort of across all of my long form videos. So with that, I hope you enjoyed. I still have a ton of footage that I still need to go through. I mean, it's currently what? July, middle of July, and I've been doing this since October of 2025, once or twice a week, give or take. I have a lot more that I still need to show. I'm trying to pump these videos out maybe once every week or so, give or take. But I don't know. We'll see if I can up the ante a little bit, get some of these out a little bit quicker. But again, if you enjoyed, follow along for more. Hope to see you on the next one. Thank you.